Should I stop sharing my screen, Teresa?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to share your book link in the chat as well.
Awesome.
If anybody wants to have the book.
And the book just gives you tools for each of those parts, like things that you can do to help with your thoughts, with your words, with your beliefs.
Thank you
We
so
all
much.
Nick, we all have a lot of work to do, but again, a little bit at a time, at our 20% of where we are today. That's all.
If anybody wants to give a comment or share a success story or share a struggle, there is a raise hand feature at the bottom of the toolbar there. And if you raise your hand, I'll open your mic if you want to do that. And while we're waiting to see if anybody wants to do that, I just want to give great thanks to you for this presentation. For me personally, it was a great reminder of some things, and I love the chart that you did, the arrow, and I'm reminded that my arrow is going up, and sometimes you don't see it because it's it's sort of sneaking in, but then when something happens, like I've had a serious loss in my family, and 10 years ago, before I started this growth mindset change in my life, I would have handled it so much differently. And and you don't see it in action until you really, you get that charge of 20%, discomfort, that big thing that you have to deal with. And so I'm really grateful for that.
I can share a tool.
Reminded me of,
I can share a
something.
tool with you.
Say that again.
I can share a tool with you if you would like.
Oh, sure. I love tools.
Okay. So, and then I know Sita has her hand raised, but we think that we will be happy when, right? I'll be happy when there's a certain number in my bank account, or my business is at a certain level, or whatever it is. When is never going to get here.
I call it destination addiction.
Yes, because there is no destination, right?
No.
And it used to drive me bananas when people used to say, it's like, oh, the joy is in the journey. I'm like, forget you. I want the joy there. Like, I understand, but then when I get there, I'll really have joy. It's not the way it works, because the goal keeps changing. There's moving goalposts. So maybe you say, it's like, I'll be happy when I live in a house where everyone has a space. Great. And then you move into that house, but the garden, like the yard is a mess and it's all like dirt. It's like, no, like I'll really be able to enjoy my house when I fix the yard so that the mud doesn't come into my house every 2 minutes. And then as soon as you fix the yard, it's like, yeah, but like the windows, it doesn't let all the light in. So I'll really be able to enjoy the house when the window. You're never going to be happy, because there's always going to be something that could be better, as it should be, right? So the way to be happy now is to do what you just said, Teresa, is to recognize that what you can be grateful for right now, like all the progress that you've made, celebrate every little step, every 1%, be like, scored that. And that is how you're going to be happy.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Yeah, I had scribbled down gratitude when I'm lost in that 20% and I can't get my mindset right. I shift to gratitude. I shift to trying to find something to be grateful for in the midst of whatever challenge I'm having. Let's see what's in the chat here. Okay,
I promoted Sita to panelist. So
oh,
if
yes,
she wants
sorry,
to
I moved from the pen. Yes, let me do that.
Yeah, I already did that.
Oh, you did. You opened their mic?
I made her a panelist so she can open the mic. Oh, I thought I did. Maybe we can do that. I thought I did that. I promoted her to the panelist. It didn't work. Okay.
Let's see. Now I did it. Oh,
There
so
we
you
go.
went. Now, Sita, you can speak. You can even turn your camera on if you would like.
microphone and my camera on. Good.
Hey.
Oh, I'm Sita from Trinidad, and I am a cocoa farmer, and I started doing chocolate. And then I said to myself, what did I get myself into? This is so much work. And I keep wondering, am I really going to do this? Or should I just abandon? But after today, I realized that I can do this. I can take it one step at a time and I can grow my business. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Sita. And the thing is, like, anything that you want, you can do, right? You just have to make sure that you want it, because that's the other, like, sometimes, and this is tricky. So sometimes you want something, then it gets hard, and then you're like, well, it's just that I really don't want it that much. And that's not true. It's just that you think it's too hard, and so you may not be able to get it. So good for you to overcome that. And the solution, always go inside and be like, but what do I really, really want? And it'll always tell you. So good for you. I'm glad to hear that this was helpful.
Thanks a lot for sharing.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hey, anyone else want to come into the galley with us, or the gallery?
Now there's some questions on the chat.
There are, yep. I was
Okay.
going to read Nick's comment. He says, I have a growth mindset despite self-sabotaging thoughts. However, I've noticed my resilience has gone down, especially as I get older. I've not achieved, et cetera, health issues, et cetera, business growth. How do we bounce back?
That's a great question, because I also think that as we get older, some things don't matter as much as they used to, right? So if you can't breathe, all of a sudden, nothing is as important as oxygen, right? So it's not that you're giving up on goals, is that maybe life changes and your goals adjust. So be kind to yourself and, rethink, okay, so I was a runner. And I ran marathons and I've done Ironman triathlons, and like I was really big into sports. I was like, I cannot run the way that I used to run because my body is different. And I had a hip replacement. I wasn't even 50 years old and I already needed a hip replacement. So the things that I could do that I've always wanted, like liked to do, I can't do anymore because my body physically can't take me there. Does that mean that I should still want to run a marathon? No, right? Like my body is not aligned with that goal. So it's okay, especially as we grow older, to readjust what we want. But if it has to do with, again, our like the business growth has not, like, if your health is there, business growth has nothing to do with your health, right? So you can probably achieve that, and that's easier to manage. And how do you bounce back is by making a decision of what is important to you, right? Because maybe it isn't that important. Maybe, as if I were, like, right now, I'm a single mom, 2 kids, about to go to college. My business is very important, right? But maybe 20 years from now, I'm a grandmother, and, my business, and maybe I want to spend more time with my grandkids and I don't want to continue growing my business. That's okay. But the priority has to come from me. And the idea of what is important for me at this moment is mine. I don't know if I'm answering specifically your question, Nick, but I would go back and be like, okay, given that I'm in a different season of my life, what is important for me in this season? And don't compromise on that. Go for that. I hope that answered you.
Okay, we have a request for affirmation. Is there an affirmation you can share with us in order to break those bad thoughts that we have about us, about self-confidence?
Absolutely. So if affirmations, if you're sitting there, it's like, I am an abundant, money comes to me from, what was it? Like from multiple sources in a variety of ways. It's a Bob Proctor affirmation. And you're like, and I am abundant and I am a millionaire and blah, blah, blah. And you can't pay rent. Your mind knows that you're completely full of baloney, right? Like you can't affirm like this thing that seems so far out of reach because you're like, but I can't even pay rent this month and I'm about to be evicted. That's not the way to do affirmations. The way to do affirmations is to get to something, get to the next level, to that one part, like that thing that is not so impossible to believe that it's going to be true for you. So when it comes about self-confidence, let's say that I'm trying to think, it's like, you're like, well, I want to start my bit, and I keep saying business because you're all chocolatiers, right? And I'm guessing that you're all business owners in one way, shape, or form. So if it is, it's not like I have a business that makes $1 million and here you are, in the red. That's not going to work. But it's like, I'm growing my business. It's like I'm growing a business that has the potential to give me the life that I want. I am I'm showing up. I am a person that shows up every day for whatever challenge life is giving to me. That is an affirmation that you can work on. Right? Like whatever, if it's about self-confidence, about in a relationship or about how you show up to the world, is like, I am a person developing, like I am worthy of showing up to the world as my authentic self. That's an affirmation, right? It doesn't seem like it's so far-fetched, but it's something that you can grab onto and you can take action on. So, and hey, if having an affirmation of, like money comes to me from multiple sources in a variety of ways, and if that works for you and money's coming in and you don't have that, like I keep saying these things, but the money's not in my bank yet. If you can do that without thinking that, awesome. But an affirmation will only work if you actually believe it and if you actually can grab onto it. And the affirmations that you have today may not be the same ones that you're going to have 3 months from now. Awesome. Doesn't matter. Just do what works for you right now.
Just to follow up, Nick says totally.
Okay, good. Thank you, Nick.
And then Christina, there are a few comments in the chat if you can see them better in Spanish.
Okay, yes. Señora Cristina, pensé que sería en español, pero sí logré estar y entendí parte de su exposición. I'm very grateful that que me da mucho gusto que pudiste entender por lo menos una parte de la presentación. I don't have this talk in Spanish nailed just yet, and hopefully my book will be in Spanish one day. So thank you. And Dora says, buenos días, buen día. Un saludo desde Colombia. Muchas gracias, Dora. I used to go to Colombia all the time. I almost moved to Colombia. But it was a long time ago.
Well, when you're ready and
Let
you'd
me
like
ask
to do
you,
the presentation in Spanish, we'll invite you to come back and do it in Spanish because a lot of our audience would love it in Spanish. Sorry,
Sure.
Mrs. Balu, we're great minds thinking alike.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing and then you asked, so I said, okay, good.
I will. I don't even know how to say growth mindset. Like I haven't taken the time to really internalize the Spanish, or find the terminology for some of the things that I say in English. Pero un día, luego, ya será.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, we have a little more time. So if anyone wants to raise their hand and come in, if it's easier to speak your comments or questions or conversation, we would love to hear from you. There's the raise hand feature at the bottom. Mrs. Balu?
I can talk because I was just waiting to see if anybody else wants to talk. But, when I saw the power wheel, I was looking at my life. And, when I studied the botany and then I was, those days for women in India, the only job we know is either nurse or a teacher. So
Mhm.
I can be a teacher because I was in a botany. But then I got a job in a research field that I didn't even know what the difference was. Anyway, I joined the job, and then there was a competition all over the country. To be a scientist, you had to write an exam and do it. And I didn't write because my professor in college, she wrote it and she didn't pass. But one of my colleagues wrote and he passed. And then my boss kept saying, you should try this exam. I was saying, oh, I don't know. My professor didn't do it. How do you think I can do? He said, no, you should try. So then I said, okay, I took it as a challenge. Then I went and studied the books from the university library. Every day afternoon after the work, I go and read and try to understand some things. And I I passed the exam that I couldn't even believe I did that. So I was the first, scientist, woman scientist in our city, because those days women did not go to the postgraduate after high school. Most of them got married. I was the one who did the double degree, and also I got the central government job. It's like a prestigious job. So I think, by the thoughts and taking the action, right? If I didn't take the action, if I didn't study, that would not have happened. So there's a lot of real life examples in my life that I did, and I believe in myself, and but I also had somebody to motivate me, like pro me, so that you need sometimes that one. If it's
Mhm.
not internal, sometimes then you need sometimes the external stimuli to get you into the work.
Absolutely. Sometimes you need somebody to believe in you before you can believe in yourself. But inside of you, if you had no desire to do it, I could tell, like, I have zero desire of jumping off an airplane in a parachute, like none. It has no appeal to me whatsoever. So somebody, and I'm terrified of heights to begin with, but if somebody tells me is like, but Christina, you can do it, and I'm going to show you, and you can take, like, it doesn't matter how much they tell me, I'm not doing it. I don't want to. So you have to have that little spark inside of you that says is like, but I kind of want to be a scientist. It's like, I think, like, I kind of want to do it, but it's like all those layers that were put on top of you that say that you can't, but the desire was yours, right? Nobody can give you that desire.
Like you said, your thoughts are yours. Nobody else can think for you.
Hmm.
You have to think what you can do and then do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And guys,
So,
go to the website and reach out to me if you ever need anything.
yeah, anybody else wants to talk anything, Nick, or anyone? Please, let's know. You have any questions for Christina? I think there's some. If nobody has any questions,
See,
we can,
give 'em 30
end the
seconds.
webinar.
Yeah, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Best-selling author, you get to pick her brain and get some good
Yeah.
life
And
hacks.
If all of you don't know, Christina has been on Good Morning America in New York, everything. She's very well acclaimed in her field. So, we are very grateful that as soon as I asked her, she agreed to it. Thank you, Christina.
of course, this brings me joy, right? I love being able to share my message, and because I know it has the potential to change your life. Whether you want to do it or not, that's up to you. Can't control that. But I feel like it's my responsibility that if I know these tools, that to teach them so that people can live the life that they've wanted to live. We only have one shot at this, guys. Like, it's not like, and people are like, oh, but when you die, you don't come back, and when you die, it's done, and that's it. So live your best life, be happy, and do all the things that you're scared of doing. Like, who cares? Just go for it.
Yeah. See, the other thing is, if you have any knowledge in all these participants, please, if you want to share it, please share. Like Christina said, we are all going to leave this world one day, and you can leave your the other wealth to your kids, but the knowledge, it's in your mind. Unless you share it, it goes with you. So don't waste it. Please share it. It doesn't have to be a wider audience, at least your neighbors, your kids, whoever you think they can benefit from it. Please share it, because the more you share, the more you grow.
You could
Absolutely.
do an Empowering Chakapreneurs webinar.
You could.
Just saying.
Hmm.
Well, I always make notes of the takeaways, and again, I'm so grateful for this time as a refresher and a reminder. It's all the things that I'm constantly working on, and so I just wrote the notes. Change your thoughts, change your life. It's so powerful. Our thoughts are that's the start. That's the gateway. And if we can change our thoughts, and then I wrote in really big letters: comparison is the thief of joy. And I love that you gave the different ways of how we compare. I hadn't thought of it that way. It was more like, oh, well, you have this and I don't, or I have this and you don't. But you broke it down into the deeper layers. So that's given me something to think about and really look at. What else? Well, I think so. Give them one last chance. You can use the raise your hand feature. You can put it in the chat if you want to give a comment, share a story before we wrap it up. And if no one wants to do that, Mrs. Butler?
I just have two requests for all the participants. Please, if you like this webinar, please write the review on the Google and also on Christina's website also, not just Town website, because she has given up so much of her energy and time to do this. All we can do is like spend like 2 minutes of your time to write a review that will help to reach more people. And also, if you need any equipment, please reach out to Town. If you need any help, we are here to help you. And also, please spread the word about the Town, Bean to Bar workshop in India to other people, because a lot of people would like to visit India also. So it'll be a good option to combine your, visiting India and also learning the Bean to Bar workshop. So those are the two requests I have for all of you.
Thank you. And I have one request. Christina, as we wrap it up, can you share the one thing? I mean, we've shared a lot of things, but the one thing, we always remember sort of the last thing we learned, the one thing, the takeaway that you want everyone to leave with today.
Sure. Life happens, right? There will always be things that are not working out. Life happens to you, but you get to decide what to do with that life. And you have the power to be able to face those challenges with confidence. And I just showed you how.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, do we feel complete?
Well, thank you again. And I am launching a new coaching program. So if you liked what you heard and you want to learn more about that, just go to my website or send me an email and I can tell you more about that. I totally forgot about that. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you all. So I just want to end as
Everyone.
usual, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you for spending your time, because without the participants, this webinar won't be successful. Thank you all. Thank you, Christina. Thank you all the participants for spending your time with us. See you in the next webinar.
Bye. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Christina.